There are two main ways to plot data in R. One is using base R graphics and another using ggplot style graphics. And we will try both of them using Iris dataset. Iris dataset is available to everyone if you type Iris in R and execute. So we'll have these variables, 4 numeric variables and species, the categorical variable, which is coded as factor in R. Even though we can access the data right now, we don't have it in the environment. For convenience, to make sure that what we are dealing with, we can say iris equals to iris, and we will have the data object in our environment. But it's not necessarily, we can also continue just without this line number 1. So our first step will be base R graphics. Base R graphics are based on the plot function, which is a general function where you can assign elements to exact positions by actually coding those positions. But you can go just with as little as X and Y for 2D plotting. For example, we can plot iris sepal length versus iris sepal width. When we execute it, here is the plot, width versus length, and we can add some other things to this plot. For example, we can edit the style of the points which appear on the plot. Right now it's unfilled circles, but there are different styles for the points which we can specify. These are the most popular styles coded with the number from 0 to 25. For example, if we want to have filled circles, it's number 16, and it's coded with the argument PCH. So we can say PCH equals 16, and it converts it to filled circles, and all the colors is black by default. We can also specify the color to be the species. So another argument in the plot function is color, and it can be iris species. And now the points are colored by species. The other things we can quickly change here is, for example, to rotate the labels in reading direction. It can be done here with LAS argument equals to 1. So now we have labels rotated in the reading direction. The plot function is generic, and sometimes it will automatically make the decisions for you, but not as many decisions as we wish for. The good example is, for example, if we specify X variables to be the species, so it's a categorical variable now, and the Y label is still the sepal width. In this case, the plot function automatically converts the plot type to be a box plot. Alternatively, we can get a similar box plot using the function boxplot, and in this case we want to specify that we want to plot sepal width versus species, and the same box plot, just the axis labels changed. How to get similar things with ggplot? ggplot graphics are based on a little bit different theory on theoretical deconstruction of data graphics, and a good reference for that is Leland Wilkinson's book, The Grammar of Graphics. The idea is that each plot will consist of several layers of complexity, such as the data that we input, mapping that we specify, statistics that we want to plot, scales, geometries, facets, coordinates, and the overall theme for the plot. Here is a simple example with our iris data. First, we need to call the library ggplot2 because these functions are not from the base R. So first load the library, then we can call the function ggplot, specify data being iris, and specify aesthetics or the mapping that we will use. So here we specified data and the mapping, but if we execute it, we just have the grid. We don't have any objects or the actual geometries plotted on this graph. So we can specify a next layer with the plus sign what we want to plot. And in this case, if we want to plot a scatter plot, it will be the geometry of points. So by default, the X and Y will be passed to this layer. So if we execute, we will have the scatter plot very similar to what we have got using the plot function. If we want to get rid of this gray background, we can change the theme of the plot. For example, we will specify the next layer for the theme. It can be black and white or classic. Maybe classic will work better. Something like this. We can also specify again the color and color by species. Notice that with ggplot we save our time, and after we specify the data, we don't need to re-specify the name of the data frame we are dealing with. We can directly use the column names. So here is a simple plot of the sepal width, sepal length for different species of iris. If we want to use a ggplot for box plots, we can modify our code. For ggplot, X will be species, and instead of points, we will have a box plot here, the geometry, and the rest can stay the same. So here is a simple ggplot box plot.